All right, everybody, welcome to Lion Strong, the place where you get to become who you were designed to be. My name is Lyonel. I'm your host for the show. I'm excited to have you here today. I'm kind of been an interesting day. It's been an interesting week, actually. There's been so many different things that have happened, events and all that stuff. So as you can see, right, there's some different look about me. Notice my nice and wonderful appendages that I'm wearing, right? That's part of sleeve tattoos that I actually have. And there's a story behind that. And if you stay tuned, I'll actually share with you at the end. It's kind of pretty funny. Not funny, but funny at the same time. But anyway, you guys might find the humor in it like I did with everything else. So going beyond that, today was kind of an interesting day. We're kind of like my assistant and I were sitting there talking, and we're always talking about trends and different things that are happening and trying to get really a handle on where we at as an industry. And there was an interesting article that we were reading that's talking about where the industry is going and the things that are there and basically what's wrong with the industry as a whole. And I was like fascinating because I'm kind of chuckling when I heard it, because I'm like, I've been saying this shit for years and people are now finally catching on to the fact that this is actually what's happening. And the whole thing is that there's a lack of personalization in the fitness industry because everything is basically a cookie cutter thing that you're seeing around. Now, don't get me wrong, there's a need for all of that and there's a market, I guess, for it, which is why you see the trends and the things that are happening growing as much as they have. But I think they serve a specific market. Let's take a look at this. You have places like some of the things like Orange Theories or the CrossFits or the big global gyms like the 24-hour fitnesses and whatever. There's a very specific type of people that go to those gyms and train there and everything else because this is what they've known, this is what they're accustomed to. This is like the old tried and true type of thing for them, so they'll keep doing that. You have boot camps that have grown up, and have like exploded all over the place for a specific reason. Those type of gyms, whether it be boot camps like or the Orange Theories or like the F45 types or all those kind of things, the boutique gyms and the CrossFits and everything else. There's a thing about the competition slash camaraderie that's there when you have a group like working together, almost like in a cheerleading type environment where you have like the whole hype and all that stuff. It is absolutely invigorating. It's something that gets you hyped, that gets you really going. And if you're competitive, can really like drive you to do better. But it can also cause a lot of other issues that I'm not even going to address because most of you, if you've been through any of them, have probably experienced some of that at some point or another. And there's actually nothing wrong with any of those things because they give people a platform where they can come in and express themselves. They can come in and do something that's different. They can actually get in shape, get fit, and look better and feel better and all those kind of things. The problem is with a lot of that is that this tends to attract the younger crowds, the 20-year-olds, the 30-year-olds. Some 40-year-olds are totally, attracted by that. But then we start getting into the olders, like the baby boomers and the Gen Xers. We start getting to realize that, wait a minute, it's all cool and great, but we ain't trying to compete with anybody. We're not trying to beat the next guy next to us or anything like that. Even though sometimes it's cool to do, that's not the driving force behind what we do. And also, we're at a point now where it's a different thing for us. We still want to look good naked. There's a whole reason why we do what we do, right? But that's no longer the priority in terms of what drives us. I think when we're in our younger years, the vanity of it, and that's not a bad thing, by the way, to think that, right? To want to look good. The vanity of that is what was the driving force for going to the gym. I need to lose weight. I need to get in shape. I need to build muscle. I need to whatever, because I want to look good for the beach season or for this season and that season. I want to whatever it is, right? That was the driving force behind it. But as we get older, and especially in those ages that we're in now, we realize that quality of life is way more important than just the looks of everything. Yes, we want to look good, but we're not trying to do that at the expense of everything else that we were doing. Whereas in the younger years, it was more prevalent to do things that maybe weren't the safest to do because it allows us an opportunity to quote unquote look better. And so what I find now is that we're in a different position where what we're looking for is a way to be able to feel better about who we are, to feel better in our bodies, to walk around without pain, to be able to move in a way that we're not supposed to be able to move at that age. That's effortless, that's gracious, that's just beautiful to watch, right? And do that in a way where we don't hurt ourselves. We want to be able to be strong as fuck, where we can literally do anything and everything that we want and have people around us be like, holy crap, dude, how can they do that? That's where we're at. And that's where we want to continue growing. The problem is there's not a whole lot of places out there that really cater to that. There's not a lot about the industry that actually is helping towards creating that. And that's what the article was kind of alluding to, that everything is geared toward the cookie cutter, the basically following the same trend, focusing on the way you look and not really providing actual benefits to improving. And they kind of talked about a lot of different things that are wrong and other stuff that people are doing that are like really an issue. And it just got me thinking that, man, we've been ahead of this for so long. We've been actually putting things into place for years and years, actually decades, in a way that actually created a solution for all of these problems before they were even problems, before people even knew that existed. Having a way to be able to train you literally anywhere in the world, right? That's completely different than what everybody else is doing. Because part of the trend in following and doing all of that, what they also talked about is the fact that the digital age, the digital training, being able to do remote work is probably the fastest growing part of the industry. And it's a huge trend and is growing by leaps and bounds. It's probably within the next 7 years will be the largest part of training that there is, which is fascinating to see and hear. But what's also interesting is when I look at it, is that the same approach is being taken to that style of training that there is with everybody else. You have a ton of people that are basically doing the same thing where they're joining in and they're participating in a lot of those things, but it's all in a group, quote unquote, basis where you have the Zoom calls. There's 20, 30, 50, 100 people on the Zoom, and you have somebody basically just cheering you on to, quote unquote, do what you're doing. It's really difficult to provide actual coaching in an environment like that because it's not conducive to be able to do that. And then I think about what we do, and it's like, wow, we are so ahead of the game in that sense because we actually provide you a platform where we customize what we're doing to you. That's always been our approach. It's never been about the cookie cutter stuff. Everything that we do is individualized. Everything that we do is about creating something for you, that person, with your needs, your issues, the things that you're trying to service and take care of, and actually give you the tools, the support, and everything else that you need to get the results that you're looking for. And we also don't believe in the whole quick fix thing because everybody's got this whole mentality about trying to do this in 6 weeks and 12 weeks and whatever, whatever, whatever. We may talk about those things simply because to get you to understand that you got to take action. But the reality of it is here, if you don't come in with the mentality that you're going to be doing this for years, and this is going to be part of now your lifestyle, might as well don't start because you're not doing yourself a service. You're going to keep doing the same yo-yo bullshit that you've done your entire life, which makes no sense. So it's kind of important to really approach this the right way. And it really got me thinking, man, that wow, people want something good. They just don't know where to go to get it. People want that individualized care. People are looking for that. They're begging for it, so to speak, but they really don't know where to get it. And that's got me thinking that, man, if people, I guess, in the rest of the industry would really start paying attention to the individuals instead of trying to do the masses thing, right? And I think there's a reason for that because when you own a business, you want to be able to be as successful as possible, as fast as possible. So if you're catering to the masses, that's probably the fastest way for you to, quote unquote, experience financial success, right? When it comes to what you do. So if I can create something that got 100 or 2,000 people or 5,000 people to sign up and participate from it, even if I'm getting paid peanuts for it, right? I can make a lot of money in comparing to doing something with 5 people. And people look for that. And there's nothing wrong with that because, again, the idea behind running a business is that you want it to be as successful as possible. But that's not what drives everyone. I know with us, that's not the driving force here. Do I want to be successful? Fuck yeah. I want to make gazillions of fucking dollars doing what I do. But that's not what gets me up every day. Knowing that I actually get to make a difference in people's lives, really truly do something that they will not find anywhere else. They're going to do something in a way that's going to change their lives, not just for now, but forever. That's completely going to put them on a different course, on a different path in everything that they do. That fucking drives me. When I see someone that I worked with 5 years ago, 7 years ago, 10 years ago come back into my life and they're telling me how their life is completely different, and I know I had something to do with that, there's a satisfaction level that comes with that, man, that no amount of freaking money could ever replace. And that drives me. That's something that I'm really excited about continuing and growing and seeing. So, while I don't want to see it grow at a big scale, of course I do. But I also never want to lose what actually makes us special. What makes this something worthwhile is the fact that we can spend the time to customize and individualize every single thing that gets done with every single person, no matter whether they're working with us remotely, they're working with us in person, they're doing one-on-ones, or they're working in a group setting. It makes no difference. We really truly want people to know and understand that someone is always going to be there to walk you through what you need and provide you all the tools and the support and the guidance to make sure that you're actually doing things correctly. Because one of the complaints that people had about what goes on in the industry is that they'll join places, they'll go start and they'll do things, but they still don't know what to do. There might be a class that they take and they're watching the instructor demonstrate what to do in the class, but they're still clueless. So they're doing these movements and doing these things and going through everything. And in the back of their minds, they're like, I hope I'm not fucking myself up because I have no idea what I'm doing. And no one's come up and tell me whether what I'm doing is correct or not. And that's a scary thought for me when I think about that, right? That there's a lot of that, how do I call it here? Where I'm just going to sit back and clap on the side and cheerlead you about what you're doing instead of actually coaching you on what you should or shouldn't be doing. And there's a lot of places that really try to provide the quote unquote coaching aspect. But when you look at the format and how they do things, when there's a ratio, for example, of 20, to one type of thing, right? I'm a fucking fantastic coach in any setting. But I can tell you for a fact, if I have 12 people or more in front of me, it's really difficult to give everyone that individualized attention that they need. It's just a fact. If I'm by myself, as good as I am, I'm going to miss something. And so someone is not going to get what they need. Either someone is going to get all the attention and everybody else is not getting any, or everyone is just going to get a little pat on the back, but not really get coached in that setting. And so I don't do things where it's that big for that reason. And I always make sure that there are multiple coaches on the floor so that the ratio is more like a 1-to-1 or a 2-to-1 or possibly 3-to-1, where every single person that's there is getting someone eyes on, paying attention, giving them what they need so that they can get the results. When I'm working remotely with people, fuck, it might as well be sitting right there next to them watching what they're doing, because that's the kind of support that they get with everything that they're doing, right? Because we want to make sure that you actually know and have everything that you need for success. And that's such a simple and basic thing to me. But reading that article, I came to realize that that's not how it is everywhere out there. And so I'm having this conversation with you guys, really just kind of think that I find that fascinating that people go out there, spend money to get help, and literally still have to figure things out on their own. Baffling. Why do it? I guess the camaraderie is one thing, just wanting to have other people around, knowing that you're not the only one doing things, knowing that you're not, I guess not too many people want to be the pioneers, right, in their fields or in their whatever. They want to know that somebody else is doing it too or has done it before or something to that effect. And I'm like, well, I don't really care what anyone has done or not done. Is that good for me? Is that actually going to help me? Is that really going to take me where I need to go? If it's something that no one else knows and understands, but it can really truly make a difference for me in the way that I need, I don't give a rat's ass if nobody else is doing it. I'm going to step into that field and do something because it's actually valuable for me. And I think that that's an attitude that most of us should embrace. At least I know with my generation, right, and above, we kind of are like that. We were the pioneers. We were the ones who didn't care what anybody else was doing. We were the ones who would literally go out there and be the mavericks, so to speak, be the ones that will basically go out and do shit that everyone else thought were crazy. So the younger generations watching us literally still think we're crazy because and they're right, because we are. And I think that's a good thing. And because of that, we have a system in place that can help us grow the right way. The sad thing, though, because of that, unfortunately, is that most of us never really learn what to do correctly about all the things that we're dealing with. So I have a ton of people when I meet with them that have been training and doing things for decades and still don't know what the fuck they're doing. And it's not their fault, is because no one actually taught them the correct way to do things. And they've done what they've seen all along, and they've been operating with the thought process that I'm doing things right because everyone around me is doing the same thing. And I'm here to tell you, look, just because everyone else is doing it doesn't mean it's being done correctly. I'm willing to bet money that the majority of them don't have a fucking clue why they're doing what they're doing, and they couldn't explain it to you if they tried. And so that should scare you in the sense that if you're doing things to try to get better and you really truly don't understand why you're doing it and what it is and what it's doing for you, and the only thing you can do is regurgitate the same bullshit you've heard from everybody else about why it's being done, that could be a problem. That could be a problem that you're either experiencing now or you will experience very, very soon, because it's going to create something not as positive as you would want, let's put it that way, in your life. The good thing is you can change that. Take the time to learn, take the time to actually understand why things are. Because I got to tell you, man, there's some absolutely antiquated shit in this industry that have been around for 40, 50, 60, 70, 80 years that make absolutely no damn sense. and no one has like raised their hand to say anything about it. I know I have a few times, but I really don't know too many other people that have spoken on those things, and they're accepted as truth, and they're accepted as science and as whatever, and they're total bullshit. When you actually sit there and start thinking about your body, and you start thinking about those things, and you start questioning, okay, how does that apply to real life? You start realizing that most of those fucking things really don't have anything at all to do with real life. Think of this. The idea of training should be to become better at whatever it is that you do. You have a job that you're starting, you go to training for that job so you can be better at your job. Imagine you going to take a job paid training that teaches you some shit that has absolutely nothing to do with your job itself. How does that apply? How does that make you better at what you do? It doesn't. How long do you think you'd be doing that kind of training for the job that you're at if you're trying to improve? I don't think it would last very long at all. You'd be like, this is stupid. This has nothing to do with what I do. Why am I doing this? Well, interesting thing is though, when it comes to training for the human body, instead of training to become better functioning human beings, we train because that's the same shit everybody else is doing. We train for the way we look and not the way we function. And then we wonder why we have all these dysfunctions in our bodies and all other issues happening, and then can't figure out that what we're doing on a regular basis to quote unquote improve ourselves is what's actually fucking us up. Pretty simple to me. Fix the way you move, make sure that it actually mimics what you do in real life, and you find out that you have no problems doing anything and everything at all. And you can get strong as shit, and you can look good as fuck naked doing it too. Ain't that something? You don't have to necessarily take the approaches that have been beat up and antiquated and shoved down your throat as science to actually get to that point. You can really truly do things that make sense and matter, and go that route. So quite an interesting view, quite an interesting thing. And I know there's so many different people out there who probably get offended from hearing this, and I don't give a shit. You can be offended. You can reach out to me and tell me you're offended. And then what? We can have a discussion. If you actually want to have one, that'd be fantastic. If you can show me where it makes sense to actually do things in that way, I'll absolutely own up to that. And if it makes sense and it can actually benefit me, shit, I'll implement it in what I'm doing. But that hasn't been my experience. That has been my experience from doing. That hasn't been my experience from meeting anyone and talking to anyone. And so I don't really expect any of that to change. It'd be nice, but I don't expect it to change. And it's a shame, because I think as a whole, the industry definitely needs to go in that direction where we start actually providing things that make more sense to people. Think about this, right? If one of the problems is that we don't talk or we don't show people how to move the right way, and all the things that we're doing are creating dysfunctions for everyone, wouldn't it make sense to create a program that's going to actually help people move better and get rid of those dysfunctions so that their regular everyday lives get easier with everything that they do? Makes sense to me. I wonder where you can find such a program. Hmm. Anyway, guys, so I told you I would share with you a quick little story. This might be funny to you guys. This might not be, but I had a little incident this past week. It was quite interesting. I was on one of my motorcycles coming back. It was one of those days where I'm in the wrong headspace and trying to like rush and do stuff. And I did cardinal sin number one, which is something that I never ever do. I'm a very cautious rider. I've been doing this for a long time. And one of the things that I always preach is making sure you wear gear when you ride. You don't have to be dressed from head to toe with everything, but at least for some kind of protective something. So I always ride with a leather jacket. I always ride with helmet. I always ride with boots and so on. And lately, I've been riding with chaps on over my jeans and everything else because I want to have protection. People would look at me when I wear those, right, and try to make fun, like, "Oh, bro, what do you think you are? Like, oh, you should try those without pants on." It's just these the dumbest fucking things you could have absolutely hear. And I don't really give a shit. I don't care what their opinions are because I know why I'm doing it, right? I'm doing it for protection for me. So if I take a spill, nothing's coming off on my body basically, and I'm going to be just fine. And anyway, getting on my bike, I actually do something completely different and stupid. I don't wear my jacket. One of the reasons why is the jacket that I wanted to wear is actually getting repaired and I wanted to go pick it up. So instead, I put a vest on with no sleeves and I get on the bike and I'm freaking hauling ass going. Well, mechanical failure, one of those things that happened, which is a freaking thing because in 40 freaking years, that was the first time I've ever had that happen to me. My throttle got stuck open. And no matter what I did with the clutch, it wouldn't engage and it just kept accelerating and it would not stop. And I was at a point, man, where I'm in traffic and I'm literally getting to a stop sign or stop light. And my choices are either hit something or dump the bike. Obviously, I opted to dump the bike because I know if I do that, I can get up and walk away from it. If I go head on into something, on the other hand, at the speeds we were going, I probably wouldn't be sitting here talking to you guys right now. So in dumping the bike, I hit the ground. I was hoping because I had a backpack on that I'm going to land on my back and that's going to kind of like help me slide. So I'll save my skin and pretty much everything else. Didn't get quite that lucky. My knee was the first thing to hit the ground and it flipped me. So instead of landing on my back like I wanted to, I landed on my shoulder and just started grinding the shoulder and sleeves down. So as I'm grinding my fucking skin down to the ground, I'm like, fuck, out of all the days not to wear a jacket, it had to be today. And this shit had to happen right now. And as I'm saying this, I'm trying to figure out how to flip myself. And I just kind of bumped something, flipped on my back. And I'm like, okay, good. Let's continue that way. And then 2 seconds later, it flips me on the other side. So now I have this arm grinding down. And I'm like, fuck, you gotta be kidding me. This side too? Shit. So now I'm gonna be matching on both, right? So it flips and everything else. I'm trying to flip back and I flip again. This time I flip on my stomach. My vest is grinding and my helmet is grinding on the ground. As this is happening, I start chuckling. I'm like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. Am I gonna get roasted on all sides? I literally felt like a steak in a freaking frying pan or something, right? Being tossed from one side to the other. So was grinding down on the ground. So all of that is just basically like useless now, but it protected me. Nothing happened to me, no issues there or whatever. And then it flipped me one more time and I landed on my back. 2 seconds later, I stopped moving. So I'm sitting in the middle of the road on my back, and I'm like, well, this is going to hurt. And then I stood up, walked over. As I'm walking over to where my bike is, when it's finally stopped, cars behind me, they stop, right? They pull up. Guy, now, mind you, I have two wonderful sleeve tattoos. You can see the beginning of that one here. Those applied by asphalt on both sides. And so I'm literally like red, blood dripping down my hands. I'm taking off my gloves as I'm walking up and I'm trying to like get my helmet off. Guy pulls up behind me and he goes, "Are you all right?" And I looked at him thinking, do I look fucking all right to you, dude? I mean, seriously, you see me bleeding and whatever. But I understood that's not what he meant. He just didn't know how to act because he was in shock because he hadn't seen anything like that. And I look at him, I'm like, yeah, I'm good, man. But thanks for checking on me. And he was like, I'm like, no, it's okay. I'm good. I'll be all right. And I walk over. Someone else came in, helped me pick up the bike, lift it up, put it on the side. And I'm like, man, my bike is probably totally fucked up. It had a broken mirror, nothing else. But I got the scratches from it. So I'm like, ain't that some shit? I'm thinking my bike is gonna be all like beat up, scratched up, and all that, and everything else busted and broken. No. That was me. That was for me. That was my lesson, right? Wear your damn jackets when you ride so that you don't have this shit happen to you. And also be in the right mindset when you do everything because you attract the stuff that's around you. Because I think that's all part of it. So it was an interesting lesson for me to go through. I thought it was funny as fuck because it happened to me. I don't know if you guys listening to this are thinking it's funny as well, but I'm thankful that training and everything else that I've done in life has allowed me to actually have the freaking wherewithal to know what the hell to do in a situation like that. I don't think too many people finding themselves in that kind of scenario, especially if they've never crashed before, would know what to do. Because a typical reaction would just be to panic and freeze. And I'm lucky and thankful that I didn't do that. And I just actually knew what to do and reacted in a way where it saved my life. And it allowed me to be able to stand here. Yeah, I got marks and yes, it hurts. And yes, it's going to take a little bit to quote unquote get back to normal, but fuck, it's skin. It grows back. I'm still here. I'm still capable. I'm still able. I'm still doing. And I'm thankful for that. And so all of that is an interesting thing because it kind of brings me back to that whole story with the industry as a whole. What the industry is doing is not helping people becoming better functioning individuals. But you know what? There are places like Lion Strong that actually do that help you become a better functioning person so that when life fucking throws you a monkey wrench, you know how to grab the damn thing and put it to use instead of just get completely fucked up by it. I'm thankful that I've been practicing what I preach because it allowed me to be able to get up and walk away from this instead of God knows what could have happened. It sucks because I know others that have had scenarios when the outcome wasn't the same and it sucks. I've but I'm thankful that that wasn't the case here. So anyway, thank you guys for listening. This was Very interesting one. I hope you got some value out of this. If you have questions, comments, reach out, man. Send me an email, send me a voicemail, send me a text message, whatever. Let's have a conversation. Let's really open the discussions to really truly learn and understand about how to approach fitness the right way instead of following the same dumb shit that every freaking person out there is doing without really truly understanding how this applies to them and their lives and makes them better. And get to know what works for you and do the things that are bringing you joy and actually really transfer to making your life easier and better overall. All right. I love y'all. I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace out.